Now, the best time if you're going to be fishing in these conditions is the first thing in the morning, the first few hours certainly. Middle of the day can be extremely difficult, and if you're lucky you'll get a decent hatch towards the evening. So for myself, I always target these early hours of the morning from 8 probably through till about 10:30. The rod out for about 10 minutes, set up the small red buzzer on a shorter tippet. I didn't get much response there, so the setup out, floating line, intermediate braid, the little red buzzer, very simple. Put it out, let it drop. Either watching the end of my line or I'm keeping contact. If you're able to keep contact, it is a lot better, whereas when you're doing it visually, by the time you react, these fish are picking so gently, they'll drop that before you know it. If you can just keep a bit of contact and your memory on that line is pretty decent, then I think that'll do you a lot better. You don't want to be too aggressive on the strike neither. Set the weight and just get the fish on, so be a bit more gentle, a bit steady, but you've got to be smack on with your timing. Letting it drop down, keeping contact. Once it's sat there for a little while, bring it up steadily. It's worth varying this figure of 8, mind, because sometimes that bit faster movement at the start can induce a take. Once you know you've climbed a certain amount of water, let it drop again, mess about with your retrieves, but it's generally slower. You watch the fish are moving slowly, so you fish slowly. There's no rules within these fishings. Get your brain into gear, get it all slowing up, just keep contact with that buzzer. The first thing to remember is that's a buzzer. Automatically we think that's to be fished, like so. Fish aren't aware this being a buzzer. Mess about with it, putting it out, let it drop, fish it fast, fishing it, stripping it like a lure. Doesn't work all the time. Then there's nothing in fishing that we know that you can go out and consistently a method working all the time. You've got to switch things around. Now I'm trying to keep as much contact as I can. I'm also watching the line. Now even though there's a bit of memory in this line, hopefully that'll disappear through the day. I'm just doing a very steady figure of 8. As I say, that'll help keep contact, and that steady figure of 8 is simulating like as if the wind was pulling it round. And then every now and again I'll just speed it up just a little bit to bring it a bit higher up in through the water column. I'm probably 40-50 foot casting, you know, in that 40-50 foot range. But I was failing within that 10 minutes to get any response or a knock. But once I went and lengthened that tippet and did the idea of drop and pull up through the columns, I think it was within second cast I had my first knock, and then a few more casts the first fish. But draw in that line and then leave it, that's fine. Oh, he come off. I wasn't concentrating, I was just about in contact, and the fish picked it up, and as quick as I could tighten into that fish, it dropped it again. So it's important, once you cast and you get most of the slack out your line, getting that contact there as best you can straight away, and keeping the visual a little bit, because often you can get a pickup on the drop. The current subsurface that you're going to find in these waters are nearly always going in the opposite direction to the wind. So when you're casting out there, your line's coming this way, but the current is pushing your fly that way, which does hold it that bit higher up than what you might think. So it's worth just to give it a bit more time when you're fishing these lighter patterns to go down. What I'll do now is, so I've had a couple of casts out in front of me there. To the right, obviously, it's going to get shallower as I fish this area. Now, to me, that's always a good bet, because then your pattern is, obviously, if it's in less water, there's more chance of it being sighted by the fish. Try as many different retrieves. Fish as many levels as you possibly can. But I had a touch then. Is he going to pick it up again? I'm not sure if that touched it then and held it. I could just see the end of the line going then. Do you know that take then? I could hardly feel it. I just felt a little pull. It was so slight. It's very unlikely that it was following it in all that way. But that fish, that was within 2 rod lengths out. So it's again on that drop-off area. These fish, when they're cruising around, they love to be on that drop-off. So as you've seen it going down, if you're suddenly going at a certain angle and then it just suddenly drops, they love to move up and down on that area. Again, whatever patterns you're going to use is entirely up to you. My preference normally is it's normally something small, something more primitive. It could be like now the buzzer, it could be a very small pheasant tail nymph down back, hazy. You know, there's no say what's going to work on the day. So you can't rule nothing out with fishing. There's one. Okay, so that is good. Okay, again, that take, it's not your normal buzzer take. I don't know if that was my fish then. It could be, or it could well have been. I'm not sure. This could be a brown. I hope it's, well, I don't mind having the brown trout, but I am trying to target more of the rainbow. Let's get that wet net. Yeah, he's not a big fish. Just under £2 by the looks of it, but strong. Now the last one that I had is getting me pretty damn wet. Yeah, it's a nice fish. Oh, that's great. Buzzer is in the net. So the fish can go back. Yeah. It's unbelievable. If you could feel this is so powerful. It's not a big fish. And I'm getting into a bit of a mess here with my line. I'm actually walking backwards and putting this on the reel. Not that tight. Ooh. These hardy reels, they are absolutely a stunning reel. I've got some nice reels. When it comes to the drag system, these are just one click. They're so sensitive. They are really good reels, and the drag on it, as I say, it's great. I love them. I think this one is call it the 6000, so it's a slightly larger one than normal. But every now and again it's good, I think very good idea is if you practice getting fish onto the reel, the one thing that you don't want to do is get into a habit of hand lining, and when you're playing with these smaller fish, and then on one occasion you get lucky enough to hook into a personal best and you're still hand lining, the reel does all the work for you. It's a lot more sensitive. You will never perform to what the reel's doing, and you will often have a better chance of landing that fish. Right, buzzer, I can see it's in the net already, but there's the buzzer in the net. Always barbless, and I've got to be honest, it's very rare that I lose fish on a barbless hook, really. Off he goes, or she. Okay, take the drag off. I don't want You never leave the reel. Don't leave the reel with the drag on. Take it off. If you've got the drag set up on the reel and you're playing a fish with the heavier drag, just remember to take that drag back off. If you've played the fish, take it back off, because if you've got it constantly on that higher tension sort of thing, it'll bugger your reel up. So always take that off, loosen it off again. About an hour roughly ago now, when I had the first fish, a couple of knocks, another 10-15 minutes maybe, hooked into the next fish. This is now the third fish that was then after me. I've had 2 tea breaks in the last hour, man, but with that last tea break, sat there, as I say, I was watching the water, nice ripple appeared, guzzle the tea down, get back on there while that ripple was there, because it looked to me like very fishy water. By the time I got back on the water there, it went dead flat again, but no problem. Second cast, again, slow, and that was a weird take, but yeah, it was solid enough, and I was soon into the third fish. Over the last hour and a half, I've been fishing this setup. I've had a couple of fish and I've lost a couple of fish, a couple of bumps. So for the purpose of the video, what I've done, I've had a word with management and I've set up with a 2-fly cast. Now this is a 1-fly policy on this water, so anybody coming to the water, don't get ideas. I kept my original tippet on and joined on another 5-foot section. So the first dropper, I now have my little red buzzer as it was, which is 6 foot and another 5 foot. I got a size 14 Hayscastle gold head. What I'm doing is I'm putting it out and I'm letting it drop. I'm keeping contact because you do get picked up on the drop, so it's good to keep a little bit of contact or keep a visual. Once it's gone down, obviously all I'm doing then is a slow figure of 8, varied, slow, stop, let it, if it needs to, let it drop again. And I've picked a few fish up doing this. I've had a few knocks. Now I'm over on the point with the same setup, and I did notice there was 1 or 2 fish seemed to be higher in the water, so I thought I'd give it a go. And this is why you have to, when it's conditions like this, you've got to vary as much as you can. So I've put it out, left it a short while, and then started a faster figure of 8. Stop, start, stop, start. And it was a solid thump, and a nice fish came out over on the point. This one now was on the red buzzer, and the other 2 were on the Hayscastle. Now the others, when I had them on and lost, I couldn't tell whether they were on the buzzer or the Hayscastle. But knowing that they're picking up on the buzzer as well as the Hayscastle, it's nice to know. And I know then that fish was a bit higher, or it might have been attracted to, just as I say, even with a fish buzzer, sometimes I put more movement into them, and it's a good attractor. So we'll give it another go and see if we can move any more fish. Okay, I knows what that was. Snap the tip out on the joint. Buzz is still here. He's here, he's gone. Well, thankfully it's barbless. Probably the same fish that jumped there just now. I think I'll call it a day. As I say, all you're going to do, even though the conditions are extremely hot, you've got a nice bit of a ripple here. Anyone knows this water. We always have a ripple here regardless. It's very rare we get flat water. So you just don't know where them fish are going to be. Most of all, be patient. It is slow, but if you want your fish, fish it hard, fish it thoroughly, fish it high, fish it low, you'll get your fish. So until the next video, take care.